Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you the general overview of the layout for Schoology. So when you first log in, you should come to a landing page that looks something like this. So to get to your courses, you can do that a couple different ways. So you'll land on recent activity. If you go to the next little tab over, course dashboard, you will see all of your courses here. You can also get to your courses at any time by looking at the top menu bar. If you go to courses, your courses will line up in this space here. So whichever way navigation works best. So I'm just going to go to my sandbox. And let's just take a quick look around. So there's a couple things. A lot of navigation is going to be on the left-hand side. So course options, if you click on here, this is where you can go to your recycle bin. You can moderate post, look at external tool providers that you may or may not have access to, edit privacy and course settings. You can edit the info of the course, and you can send a message to all of your enrolled members. So that's just right underneath. You can also edit the picture. So if there's something in particular you'd like to highlight for your course. And then it does land you right on materials. This is where you're going to do most of your work out of materials. So you can add materials. We'll get into more details on what all of these different pieces mean. But if you click on add materials, you can see that there are many options. And this is going to be the bulk of how you work with students in Schoology, so through this materials tab. And then if we go to updates, so we'll just kind of go down these options really quick. So updates is where, think of this as if you want to notify your students about something, you're going to use updates to do that. So materials are specific things, activities, resources. Updates might just be, weekly announcements. If there's something really important that you want to highlight, updates is the place that you can do that. You can also link things, include files, links, resources in the updates as well. So you might use this in different ways, but a lot of teachers choose to use updates as just kind of a way to do their announcements for their course. Gradebook is where your course grades would be housed. So all of your students would be here on the left, and then all of the grades for individual assignments would line up like a traditional grade book. Next is grade setup. So your district may or may not have very specific things that they want here, but you can see that there's scaling. You can do different controls for your gradebook, visibility settings, lots of settings in here that we'll go through in another video. Mastery, Schoology does have the ability to grade using standards. So if you've chosen that, if your district has chosen to do that, those mastery standards would be in this page here. Badges you can choose to use or not, very similar to like a sticker kind of format. So providing students with different badges that you would maybe want to use. You can add more if you'd like. Attendance, Schoology does interface with student information systems. If your district has that set up for you, you can take attendance right in Schoology, and it will sync with your whatever your attendance is normally taken in. So you'll want to check with your district to see if that's been set up or not, but that is an option here. Members, again, we'll go into all the details in other videos, but this is where you'd see all of your students. Analytics is really nice in a remote setting, and here you can see when your students last logged in, what's the last material they've accessed, and how much time they've spent in Schoology. This in particular would come in really handy for remote learning, so you can kind of keep track of your students and where they're at. And then there's a workload planning tab. So that's this is going to be the bulk of your navigation for each individual course in Schoology. On the right, you also have, you can create grading groups. I don't have any students in here, but you would see something here with your students. There's also an access code that you can send to students, and then a parent access code if you have students in here as well. At the top, there is a search bar. So if you're looking for something in particular and you can't remember what course you put it in, as you get more and more into Schoology, you'll generate a lot of information. So that search bar is handy. You can go to the App Center using the four little tops or four little squares at the top of the screen. There's also the calendar feature. So as you post and assign things, this calendar feature will populate with due dates and reminders and that sort of thing. There's also the Mail tab. So next to calendar, you can click on Mail or Messages and see if you have any messages. So this would be things that notifying of, for students, it would be like late assignments or things that they are upcoming for them to be aware of or that have maybe already passed. And there's also notifications. And then at the very far right where your name would be, there's some information here. So if you need to change anything in your profile, settings and subscriptions, that's where you'd find those information. So that's a general layout of this, of Schoology. So what we're gonna ask you to do is once you have created your sandbox, or if you're in a course that you have created or been created for you, we want you to play around in that updates and see if you can post your first update that you may want to use with students.